The sounds that constantly echo in your mind sometimes feel gentle, like a quiet companion, but other times they turn into an inner opponent. They speak about you, judge you, and create scenes that have never truly existed. What is that voice, really? Where does it come from? And is it truly you? Imagine yourself watching a dramatic play on a stage filled with emotion, joy, sadness, anger, regret. You become so absorbed in the storyline that you forget a simple fact. You are only an observer. You are not the main character. The voice in your head works in the same way. It creates stories, often vivid and intense, but not always true. And in doing so, it makes you forget an essential truth. You are not those stories. In reality, you are the one who listens, the one who witnesses, silent, present, and aware behind all the noise. Yet the mind does not want you to realize this. It keeps you busy, filling every moment with thoughts and judgments, convincing you that you are identical to them. But this identification is an illusion. And when you no longer define yourself by that inner voice, you begin to discover a vast inner space where freedom and peace truly begin. This is not merely an idea. It is a journey back to your true nature. Now imagine that you are standing on a rooftop, looking down at the city below. Streams of cars, glowing lights, and layers of chaotic sound merge into a constantly moving picture. But pause for a moment. Do not let yourself dissolve into that scene. You are not the city. You are simply the one observing it from above. Your thoughts are the same. They move like endless traffic. Each thought is like a passing vehicle, carrying a story, an emotion, or a memory. And you are not those vehicles. You are the one watching them from a distance. Thoughts seem powerful, not because they are true, but because they easily persuade you that they are you. They can project futures that have never happened, replay fragments of the past, and construct imagined outcomes filled with anxiety. They bind you tightly to the stories they tell. But the truth is simple. These thoughts are only a flow. They are not your true essence. Recall a time when you felt tense before making an important decision. Your mind may have produced countless scenarios. What if I fail? What will people think of me? Yet once that moment passed, you likely realized that most of what you feared never occurred. Those thoughts held you in a state of control, draining your energy without reason, and still, within you, there was always a quiet part untouched by this flow. That part is your true nature, the observer, the witness. When you recognize this, you begin to see thoughts as tools rather than masters. They remain useful, but they no longer control your emotions or actions. The mind originally evolved to help humans survive. It helped our ancestors avoid danger and respond to threats. But in the modern world, even when real dangers are absent, the mind continues to operate as if everything is a threat. It keeps you in a constant state of alertness, endlessly analyzing, imagining, and planning, leaving you exhausted even when there is nothing to fear. Notice how an ordinary day begins. You wake up and immediately the mind starts working. It generates scenarios about work, unfinished plans, or things that might go wrong. It pulls you into the past, then pushes you into the future, trapping you in an endless loop. Yet when you look closely, you see that most of what the mind worries about never actually happens. The mind does not distinguish between real danger and imagined fear. It reacts to both as if they are urgent, and this confusion consumes your energy, keeping you entangled in tension. But none of this means you must remain controlled by it. The most important realization is this: the stream of thoughts does not define who you are. It can weave countless stories, but you do not need to believe them. When you recognize that this mental flow is only a small part of the whole picture, you begin to see the mind for what it truly is: a tool. And you are the one who uses it. Instead of letting the mind control you, you can learn to observe it. When a thought appears, do not immediately assume it is true. Ask yourself whether it truly deserves your attention. In that pause, many thoughts naturally lose their power. And in that space, clarity begins to emerge. Freedom begins when you are no longer pulled into the endless whirl of stories created by the mind. Each moment becomes clearer. Each breath feels lighter. You begin to experience life more fully, free from unnecessary worry, and free to simply be yourself. Emotions such as anger, fear, or anxiety do not usually persist on their own. What keeps them alive is our attachment to them. The mind has a habit of sustaining stories that bind emotions to thoughts, turning small moments into heavy burdens. What matters is not resisting negative thoughts or emotions, but changing the way you relate to them. Busy thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky. They come and they go. Yet the sky itself, the inner stillness within you, has always been there. When you realize that you are not the stories the mind creates, you begin to feel the lightness of letting go. This is not a form of escape. It is a return to the present moment, where true peace begins. You do not need to carry that heavy backpack forever. Imagine a life where thoughts no longer dominate you, where emotions no longer pull you downward. Behind all the turbulence, there's always a vast inner space where stillness and freedom are waiting for you. It is time to recognize that peace is not something you must search for somewhere else. It has always been a part of you. This journey is not about changing who you are, but about remembering that you have always had the ability to put that burden down and walk through life with ease. We often think that listening means receiving sounds or information, but listening with presence is something far deeper. It is not merely a physical act. It is a state of being fully present, without judgment, without reaction, and without being carried away by the mind's stories. Listening with presence means allowing everything to appear exactly as it is, without trying to change it or hold on to it. You give your full attention, open and receptive, yet you are not absorbed by what arises. When you listen in this way, you begin to sense layers of meaning that go far beyond words or surface thoughts. Consider a moment when someone you care about is sharing their feelings with you. If you listen with a busy mind, already preparing a response or forming judgments, you only receive a fragment of what they are communicating. But when you listen with presence, offering your full attention to the moment without evaluating or planning what to say next, you can feel what remains unspoken. You sense the emotion beneath the words. This kind of listening deepens every connection. The same is true when you listen to yourself with presence. You do not only hear surface thoughts or obvious emotions. You begin to notice subtler layers, hidden feelings, unconscious beliefs, and the quiet peace that has always been there but was covered by mental noise. When a thought appears, simply notice it without reacting. Do not agree with it. Do not reject it. Do not try to change it. You might gently ask whether this thought truly reflects who you are, or what lies beneath this feeling. Then remain silent for a few moments, sensing your own presence beyond every mental story. As you practice listening with presence, you do not just connect with the deeper parts of yourself. You learn how to live more fully in each moment. You begin to recognize that beneath all the noise, there is a truth about who you are, a truth about peace and freedom that you have been seeking for so long. This is the inner treasure that sages and contemplatives have pointed to for centuries, a place where the self dissolves into clarity and the meaning of each moment becomes unmistakably clear. Negative emotions do not arise to trap or defeat you. They are like visitors knocking at your door, each carrying a message. The problem begins when you do not allow these visitors to leave. Instead, you invite them to stay, replaying the stories behind them again and again, turning them into unnecessary burdens. Imagine holding a glass of water. If you hold it for a few seconds, it feels light. But if you hold it all day, even that light weight becomes exhausting. Negative emotions work in the same way. They only harm you when you choose to hold on to them longer than necessary. Letting go does not mean ignoring or suppressing emotions. It means acknowledging them fully, allowing them to exist, and then gently letting them pass. Do not resist them. Resistance only makes them stronger. Instead, accept them as a natural part of your experience and observe them as they dissolve. A negative emotion, when not fueled by the stories of the mind, naturally loses its strength. For example, when you feel sadness after a failure, the initial feeling may simply be disappointment. But when the mind begins telling stories, such as "I never do anything right" or "people will look down on me," that sadness turns into despair. It is these stories that prolong suffering and turn emotions into unnecessary weight. When you let go, you are not denying what happened. You are simply choosing not to allow it to control your present moment. Ask yourself what truly happens if you do not hold on to this emotion. Does it change the past? Does it make you feel better? The answer is almost always no. Letting go of negative emotions is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of inner strength. It creates space for peace, love, and joy to enter. When you set that burden down, you free yourself and open the door to experiencing life more fully. This courage to release is one of the deepest forms of wisdom spoken of on the path toward awakening. Most of us live under the illusion that everything in life can be controlled. We make detailed plans, try to predict every outcome, and prepare for every possible scenario. Yet life does not move in straight, predictable lines. It is filled with uncertainty and surprise. So why do we keep trying to control it all? Because control gives us a temporary sense of safety. But that feeling never lasts. Control is not only an illusion, it is also a burden. Each time you try to control something beyond your ability, you bind yourself to expectations, anxiety, and disappointment. This is why letting go of the need to control is not an act of surrender. It is an expression of freedom. When you stop clinging to the urge to manage everything, you realize that losing control does not mean losing power. It means freeing yourself from unnecessary pressure. Look around you. Everything in life is constantly changing. The weather, relationships, health, all of it moves within uncertainty. You can anticipate, but you can never fully control. This is a truth you must face. Uncertainty is an essential part of life. When you accept this, instead of resisting the flow, you can learn to move with it. Letting go of control means shifting your focus away from forcing outcomes and toward accepting and responding wisely to what is happening. This requires courage, because the mind always wants to hold the reins. Yet only when you pause and realize that control is not a prerequisite for happiness do you truly begin to live. Think of a kite flying high in the sky. If you pull the string too tightly, the kite loses balance and may fall. But if you loosen the string just enough to let the wind guide it naturally, the kite rises higher and becomes more stable. Life is the same. When you soften your grip on expectations and control, things often find their balance and unfold in a more natural way. How do you begin to let go of control? First, recognize what you can influence. Instead of trying to change external circumstances, focus on how you respond to them. You cannot control the weather, but you can control how you prepare for it. You cannot control the actions of others, but you can control your own responses. Second, embrace uncertainty. Whenever you feel anxious about a situation beyond your control, remind yourself that uncertainty is a natural part of life. See it as an opportunity to learn and grow, rather than an obstacle. When you release the need to control, you do not only feel lighter, you create space for positive things to emerge. Flexibility allows you to adapt to change without being overwhelmed by it. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become an observer and companion to life itself. Life is not a battle to seize control. It is a journey of learning how to live in harmony with the flow. When you let go, you do not abandon your power. You discover a different kind of power. The power that comes from inner freedom. Living with openness is not only an attitude of accepting life, it is the capacity to face whatever arises without building inner walls. It is the courage to look honestly at yourself, to meet fear and joy alike, rather than hiding or escaping. When you close your heart, you may protect yourself from pain, but you also close the door to joy and deep connection. Many people believe that openness is a sign of weakness. In truth, it is one of the strongest expressions of maturity. When you allow both pleasant and difficult experiences to come and go, you no longer try to control everything. You begin to move with the flow of life. This does not mean blindly agreeing with everything. It means seeing and accepting reality as it is. Living openly allows you to experience life in its most authentic form. From small moments of ordinary joy to pain that you once tried to ignore. All of it belongs to the complete picture. Each time you face difficulty without avoidance, you expand your inner space. You gain deeper understanding. Openness does not stop with your own emotions. It extends to how you are present with others. Listening without judgment. Seeing others with understanding rather than defense. This is the art of true connection. Not by changing the outside world, but by opening your inner world to see it clearly. Life never promises perfection, yet openness allows you to embrace both its beauty and its challenges. When you dare to meet pain instead of fleeing from it, you do not just overcome it. You uncover a hidden strength within yourself. This is where the true meaning of life is found. In growth, in understanding, and in peace that remains steady even amid life's storms. Everything you think you are and everything you believe you know about yourself is only an appearance. Each step on this path is not merely about understanding, but about awakening. Awakening from the illusion that you are defined by thoughts, emotions, or the stories the mind repeats. Awakening to the realization that you have always been greater than all of these things. As you reflect on what has been revealed so far, ask yourself what you have noticed. Has there always been a quiet stillness beneath the endless noise of the mind? Is there a vast inner space you once forgot, yet it has always been your true home? When you realize that you do not need to chase the endless stream of thoughts, you begin to see that everything you have been searching for has always been within you. This is not a journey of seeking. It is a journey of remembering. Imagine it like a flame that never goes out, even when covered by storms of anxiety or layers of painful memories. That light has always remained alive. With each moment of awareness and each act of letting go, you allow that flame to burn brighter. Life does not ask you to change who you are. It does not ask you to prove anything. It only asks you to live with presence, to live with openness, to live as yourself. There's no longer a need to struggle, to cling, or to run away. The truth is not about how far you have traveled, but about discovering yourself right here, right now. You do not need a destination. You are the answer. Hold this awareness not as an idea, but as a way of living. In every moment, you can return to the inner stillness within you, a place untouched by anything. There, you will find not only peace, but the freedom you have always deserved. You are not only light, you are not only stillness, you are not only joy, you are the source from which all of these arise. And this journey is not an ending, it is a beginning, a return to who you truly are. Live with freedom, because freedom has always been your true nature. If you found meaning in these words, you may offer a simple gesture of support by following and staying connected for what comes next. Thank you for listening. May you and your loved ones be filled with health, peace, and quiet strength.